You know those moments that freeze time? When you feel the whole world stop breathing for just a second. That was me standing in stiff dress blues, back ramrod straight, heart ready to burst out of my chest, at my brother-in-law's Navy SEAL pinning ceremony. Everyone thought I was a damn dropout. My wife, Madison, helped spread that little bedtime story to her family. Oh, Noah couldn't make it, she'd whisper with that smug look. He just wasn't cut out for the military. Yeah, real supportive. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet for 5 long years, playing along for her sake. I stood silent in the second row, flanked by people who'd rather pretend I didn't exist. My father-in-law, Robert, glared at me like I was gum under his boot. Madison sat 2 rows ahead, back straight, chin up, her golden curls bouncing like she was the damn queen of Annapolis. The whole room buzzed for her brother, Logan, newly minted SEAL. I clapped like the rest of them, jaw clenched so tight I thought my molars might crack. Then he walked in. Rear Admiral Glenn Warner. The real deal, grizzled, scarred, eyes that had seen hell and come back just to drink coffee with it. He marched to the podium, gave Logan the standard welcome to the elite speech, and then it happened. He scanned the crowd. Casual at first. Then his gaze locked onto mine. A pause. A breath. A heartbeat. He pointed, right at me. "Colonel Noah Whitaker," he said into the mic. His voice cut through the silence like a blade. "You're here." The entire room stopped moving. Forks hovered mid-air. Chairs creaked. My father-in-law's jaw literally dropped. The same guy who'd called me a Navy reject to my face for years now looked like he'd swallowed a brick. Madison didn't even turn around. Didn't blink. Like she knew. And that's when it hit me she knew. I nodded once, crisp. "Yes, sir." Admiral Warner gave me a subtle smile, like we shared some old battlefield joke. Well, damn, the legend himself. Logan's in good company. And just like that, the lie cracked open. Madison had fed her family a story about me being weak, a quitter. Meanwhile, I've been running silent Black Ops missions, training ghosts, and collecting scars she never bothered to ask about. All because I didn't want to make her insecure. All because I loved her. Turns out, I was the fool. She lied. Not just about me, about everything. Because later that night, in the silence after the applause faded and the crowd scattered, I walked in on the truth. I was grabbing my jacket from the back room of the ceremony hall. I wasn't even trying to eavesdrop, but I heard her voice. Low. Giggly. Not her public Madison. Her real one. "God, I can't believe he came," she whispered. "I thought he was supposed to be overseas. What if he figured it out?" Then a man's voice. Deep. Confident. Arrogant. "Relax, Mads. He's still playing house while you're over here playing me. He's clueless." My pulse didn't just spike, it detonated. I inched toward the doorframe, heart pounding, breath frozen in my chest. There they were, Madison and some guy in a suit, maybe late 30s. Her hand was on his chest, her finger tracing circles on his lapel like she'd done with me 100 times before. Her lips were still red from the ceremony wine. My stomach turned. He kissed her. Full on. Deep. She kissed him back. And that was it. Reality snapped like a brittle bone. All the dots connected. Her coldness the last 6 months, her late-night wine nights with the girls, her eyes glazed over when I spoke. The distance wasn't about me. It was about him. And I watched. I didn't burst in. I didn't shout. I watched, my fists clenched, my teeth grinding. A war was raging inside me, and I wasn't even sure which part of me would win, the soldier or the betrayed husband. They left a minute later, laughing like they owned the night. I stepped out from the shadows, jacket in hand, heart in pieces. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a soldier. I felt like a damn ghost in my own life. I didn't sleep that night. I laid in the hotel bed staring at the ceiling, the cheap fan ticking like a metronome counting down to an explosion. Madison slipped into bed beside me sometime after 2 a.m., reeking of some musky cologne that sure as hell wasn't mine. I didn't say a word. I wasn't ready yet. Not because I was scared, God no. I've kicked in doors in Kandahar, taken bullets for men who didn't make it out, but because I needed to understand how long she'd been playing me, how far this went. I needed proof. Not just for me. For Court. For our daughter, Ellie. The next morning, she acted normal. Woke up with a yawn, kissed me on the cheek, smiled like nothing happened. "You were quiet last night," she said, pouring herself some hotel coffee. Something wrong. I stared at her, barely able to believe how well she wore the mask. She was good. Too good. But I didn't flinch. Just tired. Ceremony was long. She shrugged. "Yeah, Logan was annoying as hell, right?" Just like that, she shifted blame. Deflected. Masterclass manipulation. I told her I had meetings at the base, an excuse to get some air, put my plan into motion. What I really did was call in a favor. My buddy Troy owed me from a mission in Syria. I asked him to run a name for me. Blake Carter. The man who kissed my wife. Troy got back to me in an hour. Blake was a corporate guy. No military background. Worked at some firm in D.C., owned a townhouse in Arlington, and had a wife and kid of his own. I nearly broke my phone. Cheating on me was one thing, but with another married man? She wasn't just betraying me. She was poisoning 2 families. I went back to the hotel. Madison was in the shower, humming. Her phone was on the nightstand. Unlocked. I know it's wrong to snoop. But trust me, when you've risked your life overseas and come home to betrayal, morals take a back seat. I opened her texts. There they were, hundreds of messages with Blake. Some recent. Some going back months. Months. Flirty. Explicit. Photos. Voice notes. She called him my real man. Told him I was a dried-up soldier who doesn't know how to touch me anymore. That he thinks he's smart, but he's clueless. I dropped the phone. My fingers were shaking. I couldn't breathe. Every single part of me wanted to walk into that bathroom and scream. Throw something. Break something. But I didn't. Instead, I took pictures of every message. Every photo. Every voice memo. I sent them to my secure drive. Timestamped. Labeled. Organized. When she came out of the bathroom in a towel, smiling, I smiled back. She had no idea. That night, I watched her as she talked to Ellie over FaceTime. Daddy and I are having such a good time, sweetheart, she cooed. We miss you. The bile rose in my throat. But I still said nothing. I needed to make it count. One chance. One perfect, irreversible move. So I called Blake's wife. I told her everything. Sent her the evidence. Gave her my word that this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. She cried. Said she'd had suspicions. Thanked me. Said she was taking the kids and leaving. Boom. One house of cards down. Now it was Madison's turn. The next morning, I made her breakfast. French toast, her favorite. She ate, oblivious. Then I slid her phone across the table. She raised an eyebrow. What's this? Go ahead. Open it. She frowned, tapped it. Her screen lit up with a video I'd stitched together, texts, photos, voice notes. A digital betrayal reel. Her face drained of color. I know, I said calmly. I've known. Since the ceremony. For the first time in years, she didn't have words. Just stammered. It wasn't. No, I didn't. Don't lie to me. You're good at it. But not today. And then came the first crack in her perfect porcelain doll face. So what? You think you're some saint? You think being in the military makes you a perfect husband? You're gone for months. You're always intense. I needed something real. There it was. The bitch mask slipping off. I leaned in. You needed something easy. Not real. Real takes strength. Real means loyalty. You wanted a damn distraction. And you got one. She pushed the chair back, stood up, pacing now. I should have left you years ago, she hissed. You should have, I agreed. But you stayed. You lied. And now? You're gonna live with what comes next. Her voice got shrill. You think anyone's gonna believe you over me? My family hates you. They think you're a fraud. I smiled. About that. And I pulled out my phone. Hit play on the video from the ceremony. Admiral Warner calling me Colonel. My rank. The frozen room. Her father's jaw on the floor. The look on her face? Worth every scar I ever got. She didn't speak for a full minute after that. Just stood there in her robe, mouth half open like she was rebooting. I let the silence hang. The tension squeezed the air between us like a vice. I wanted her to feel it. To know she wasn't the smartest one in the room anymore. That her little fantasy where she got to be the angel, and I the washed-up soldier, was burning to the ground fast. She sat back down. Not calm, calculating. Her eyes narrowed. So what now? She said, voice low and venomous. You gonna divorce me? Try to take Ellie away. I didn't flinch. No. I'm going to let you destroy yourself. She scoffed. You've got nothing. I've got everything. The texts. The calls. The photos. You cross state lines to sleep with a married man. I've got enough to bury you in court. And if you try to lie, your brother's general already verified my rank. Your family will look just as stupid as you do. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You're pathetic. You act like this hurts you. What do you even feel anymore? You're like, empty. Hollow. You probably even deserve this. That was her angle. Classic projection. Make me feel like the villain in my own story. And maybe 2 years ago, it would have worked. But not now. Not after seeing her giggling like a schoolgirl in someone else's arms while I was busy hiding bullet wounds from my daughter. I stood, walked past her, and picked up my keys. I needed space. I needed out of that room before the soldier in me reacted in ways the man in me would regret. "Where are you going?" she called after me. "To get a lawyer." I didn't wait for her response. I shut the door on her mid-rant. I drove with no destination. Just needed to hear the engine. Needed to let the fury bleed out somewhere other than my fists. Ended up at some overlooked spot outside town, the kind teenagers used to make out or smoke weed. Sat there for an hour, watching the clouds shift and swirl like they were arguing too. I thought of Ellie. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that her mother decided another man was more important than her family? That she traded bedtime stories and pancakes for some guy in a press suit who probably didn't even know her favorite color? I didn't have an answer. Still don't. But I made a decision right there. Ellie comes first. No matter what. No matter how much I wanted to destroy Madison legally, emotionally, hell, even physically, I wouldn't let that war touch my daughter. That night I stayed at a friend's place. Told Madison I'd be gone for a few days. She didn't respond. Just left a one-line text. "You think you're punishing me? You're the one who'll end up alone." That was always her biggest fear. Being alone. She couldn't stand the silence, the stillness. Needed noise. Attention. Someone always orbiting her, confirming she existed. Without that, she was a ghost with lipstick and lies. A few days later, I served her papers. My lawyer, Andrea, sharp as a knife and twice as fast, walked me through every part of it. She said, "You've got leverage. You play it clean. We can win this." I asked for full custody. Madison would get supervised visits. I attached all the evidence. Clean, clinical, irrefutable. When she finally called me, it wasn't to apologize. Not to fight for Ellie. "No," she screamed. "You're ruining me." I stayed calm. "You ruined yourself." Click. The weeks that followed were a blur of courtrooms, mediation sessions, and awkward exchanges with her family. Some tried to play neutral. Others doubled down on their hatred. But Logan? The SEAL? He pulled me aside at one of the custody hearings. "I had no idea," he said. "About you, or her. She's not the sister I thought I had." I just nodded. What was there to say? Loyalty has limits, even in families. The judge ruled in my favor. Madison's face twisted into something ugly when the verdict was read. She didn't cry. No, that would have required actual regret. She looked at me like she wanted to spit acid, like I took something from her. But the truth? She gave it away. All of it. Ellie didn't ask many questions at first. Kids don't always need words. They feel things. She sensed the change. The quiet tension when I dropped her off at Madison's temporary place. The way Madison forced a smile and never met my eyes. How I stood tall, but always lingered a second longer than I used to, like part of me was still expecting something, anything that might explain all this. But it never came. Madison didn't apologize. Not once. Instead, she doubled down. Started posting pictures of herself out at clubs, fake laughing in champagne-lit photos with captions like "Healing through freedom nail polish" and "A real queen never cries." Her little social media fan club, half of them knew she cheated, cheered her on like she was some goddess escaping tyranny. I stayed quiet. Didn't post. Didn't explain. Let her bury herself in her own lies. Until the day she crossed the line. It was a Saturday. I was with Ellie at the aquarium. She loves sea otters. I was just about to buy her one of those overpriced stuffed ones from the gift shop when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Troy. Just a screenshot. Madison's Instagram story. I opened it, expecting more club nonsense. Instead, it was a video. Ellie, my daughter, on camera. In the background, music was blasting. Some crowded house party. People dancing. Drinking. Ellie sitting on a couch next to some strange man, playing on a tablet while half-naked strangers danced 5 feet away. And then Madison's voice, slurring a little. "Single mom life. Bitches. We don't miss that military robot." I froze. Ellie looked tired. Confused. Small. I saw red. I called my lawyer. Sent the video. She filed an emergency motion within the hour. The judge saw it that same night. Temporary full custody was granted, effective immediately. Madison wasn't allowed to see Ellie until a full investigation was completed. When I picked Ellie up the next morning, she looked up at me and said, "Are we going home, Daddy?" "Yeah," I said. "We're going home." She slept in the car the whole way back. curled up with that stupid stuffed otter I finally bought her. I watched her through the rearview mirror, jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Madison didn't call, didn't text, nothing. She knew she was cooked. But a week later, the doorbell rang. She stood there, makeup perfect, sunglasses hiding bloodshot eyes. "I want to talk," she said. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "Talk." She lit a cigarette with shaking hands. She never used to smoke. "I messed up. No kidding. I didn't feel seen. You were gone so much. I was lonely. I didn't mean for it to go that far." And Blake, he meant nothing. I didn't respond. She went on. "It wasn't about him, okay? It was about me. About feeling alive again." I laughed once, sharp and humorless. "You destroyed your family to feel alive? That's what you're going with. You don't understand it." "No, Madison. I understand better than you ever will. I've watched men die for people they didn't even know. I've held brothers bleeding out in my arms. I came home to give you a life you could be proud of. And you spat on it." She blinked. The tears started then, crocodile thick and perfectly timed. "You were never really here. I was here every time you needed me. You just wanted more. Always more. Something shinier. Something easier. And when it turned to shit, you turned on me. Lied about me. Tried to play the victim. I'm not a bad mother," she whispered. I looked her dead in the eyes. "You brought our daughter to a party where people were getting wasted and dancing half-naked while you were blackout drunk. You're not a mother. You're a danger." She crumpled for real then, dropping to the porch step, sobbing. But I didn't comfort her. I wasn't there for her anymore. I was done. "You want forgiveness?" I said quietly. "Start with Ellie. Not me." Then I walked back inside and locked the door. She stayed out there for a while, hoping I'd come back. She still thought I was that same man, patient, loyal, blind. But that version of me died somewhere between the lies and that party video. The new version? He didn't care about her tears. He only cared about one thing now: protecting what mattered. Weeks passed. Madison went dark on social media. No more bottle service selfies, no Healing Queen hashtags. Her fan club vanished as quickly as it formed. Fake friends evaporate when the drama stops being fun and starts being real. She showed up to the custody hearing looking like a ghost. Thinner, pale, twitchy. I didn't feel pity. I felt nothing. Not hate, not anger. Just resolve. The kind you carry when the mission isn't about revenge anymore. It's about cleaning house. The judge was merciless. The video from the party sealed it. Her attorney tried spinning it, calling it a lapse in judgment, a mother under emotional strain. But no one bought it. The ruling came swift and brutal. Full custody awarded to me. Madison was granted only supervised visitation, 3 hours every other Sunday, in a monitored center. She didn't cry. Just stared at the floor like if she didn't look up, none of it would be real. After the hearing, I walked outside into the blinding sunlight. Ellie was waiting in the car with Troy, drawing pictures of jellyfish on her tablet. She looked up and grinned when she saw me. "Daddy, look. It's the jellyfish from the aquarium." "Perfect," I said, buckling her in. "Just like you." That night, after I put her to bed, I sat on the back porch with a glass of scotch, listening to the crickets and the wind through the trees. The quiet was heavy, but clean, not like before. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. It was Madison. "I'm pregnant," she said. For a second, I couldn't breathe. It hit me like a punch I didn't see coming. "With who?" "Blake," she said flatly. "He ghosted me. His wife kicked him out and he panicked. I'm alone, Noah. I can't do this alone." I leaned back, the scotch suddenly sour in my mouth. "That's not my problem." "You don't mean that." "Yes, I do. You're still my husband." "Not for long." Click. I blocked her number. The next day, I filed for divorce. She tried dragging it out, throwing last-minute motions through her lawyer, but the judge wasn't having any of it. Once the custody ruling came down, it was clear she wasn't just reckless, she was toxic. Dangerous. I didn't even fight for assets. I told my lawyer, give her whatever doesn't matter. I just want Ellie, my records, and my house. Madison got the car, the designer bags, her freedom, and she hated it. The divorce was finalized in 2 months. Clean, precise, surgical. That last meeting in court, she walked past me like a ghost again, clutching her purse like it was the last thing she owned that made her feel important. I said nothing. Later that week, her father, yeah, that smug bastard who used to call me a fake Navy dropout, showed up at my house. Uninvited. He looked tired, worn down. Like the Madison show had finally run its course even for him. I didn't know, he said. About what she was doing. About you. I was wrong. You were, I said. He stared at Ellie playing on the swing in the yard. She's all you now, huh? She always was. He nodded, eyes glassy. Take care of her. Then he walked away. Just like that. And honestly, that moment felt better than any revenge. Not because I needed his validation. Because I didn't. I'd survived war zones. Buried friends. Got stitched up without anesthesia. But the real pain? The real battlefield? It was right here. In quiet homes and fake smiles. In betrayal disguised as love. And I won. I came out standing. Maybe a little more broken. Definitely more cautious. But standing. Ellie never asked about the divorce again. I kept things honest with her at her level. Just enough to make her feel safe. Loved. Because that's all that matters now. Not Madison. Not her mess. Not the past. Just the future. And Ellie's laughter echoing through the house that's finally, ours. A few months passed. Life settled into something that looked suspiciously like peace. Not perfection. Peace. There's a difference. Perfection is a lie, something Madison always chased and blamed everyone else for failing to hand her. But peace? Peace is messy, sometimes loud, sometimes dull, and always earned. Ellie adjusted better than I expected. Kids bounce. She had questions, sure, but never the ones I feared. Does mommy still love me? Yes, sweetheart. She does. Is she coming back? Not to live with us. But she can still visit. When it's safe and okay. That was enough for her. She believed me. Not because I sugar-coated it, but because I never lied. She felt that. Kids do. Madison showed up for her supervised visits the first few times. On time. Made an effort. Brought little gifts, told Ellie how pretty she looked, called her my little angel. But she was different. Thinner. Pale. Eyes darting like she was always bracing for something to fall apart. Her smiles didn't reach her eyes anymore. There was a kind of desperation in the way she hugged Ellie, like she was hugging herself. Then, slowly, the cracks returned. She skipped one visit. Then another. Claimed sickness. Said her new job was exhausting. Then radio silence. The visitation center called me, said she hadn't checked in or answered. Ellie noticed. Is mommy okay? She's just figuring some things out, baby. That night, while Ellie slept, I scrolled through a burner Instagram account Madison had made under a fake name. Her new chapter was already falling apart, late-night stories from dive bars, vague sad quotes about betrayal and fake people, photos of her belly with captions like, my reason to keep going broken heart. No Blake. No ring. Just chaos. I poured myself a drink and deleted the app. Not my problem anymore. But then came the letter. Not an email. A letter. Handwritten, shaky ink. Sent to my address. I almost threw it out. I wish I had. Noah. I don't know who I am anymore. I didn't think it would end like this. I didn't think you'd actually walk away. I thought you'd yell, break something, fight for me. But you just left. Cold. Like you were never even in love. Everyone's gone. Blake blocked me. My parents won't answer my calls. I lost the baby. I deserved it. I know. But I don't know how to fix it. I'm scared. I see you everywhere now. In songs, in smells, in every man who's not you. If there's even a piece of you left that remembers me, not the bitch I became, but me. I'm sorry. Maddie. I read it twice. Then a third time. And you know what I felt? Not pity. Not longing. Not even anger. I felt nothing. Like the final ember had finally gone out. I didn't write back. I didn't show Ellie. Some things don't need to be reopened. Some wounds heal because you stop picking at them. Instead, I kept going. Took Ellie hiking. Taught her how to ride her bike. Burned pancakes with her on Saturday mornings and danced like an idiot when she demanded kitchen concerts. I started going to the gym again. Saw some old military buddies. Rebuilt the woodshop in my garage. Built Ellie a dollhouse from scratch. One night, Troy invited me to a bonfire with some friends. I almost didn't go, but I did. And there, in the soft orange flicker, with a beer in one hand and the scent of pine in the air, I met Claire. Nothing flashy. No fireworks. Just easy conversation. A real laugh. Eyes that didn't scan the room for attention every 3 seconds. And when she asked about my story, I told her the truth. Not everything, but enough. She didn't flinch. Didn't pity me. She said, that's heavy. But it sounds like you carried it well. I didn't know I needed to hear that until she said it. Months later, Claire met Ellie. It was slow, careful, natural. Now sometimes, I catch them curled up on the couch reading together, and I wonder if Ellie even remembers the chaos. Or if she just remembers the calm that came after. One night, Ellie looked up at me as I tucked her in and asked, "Daddy, do you think love can come back?" I paused, thought about Madison, about war, about rebuilding, and I said, "Sometimes. But sometimes it leaves so something better can find you." She smiled and nodded like she understood more than she was letting on. And I realized. I wasn't broken anymore. I was free. A year slipped by like a silent tide. It was strange how quiet the world became once the storm passed. I used to brace myself for chaos, expect it, live in it, train for it. Whether it was overseas missions or Madison's mood swings, I lived on the edge of things falling apart. Now, the chaos was gone, and for the first time in years, I could hear myself think. Claire and I never rushed anything. That's what made it different. We didn't explode into each other like a reckless fire. We built something. Something solid. Something that didn't demand attention, but earned it. She didn't try to fix me. Never pushed me to talk about Madison unless I brought it up first. And when I did, she never looked at me like a wounded animal. She looked at me like a man. One night, we were sitting on the back porch, same place I used to drink alone, and she asked, "Do you still think about her?" I didn't lie. I respected her too much for that. "Sometimes," I said, "but not the way you'd think." Claire waited, patient as always. I don't miss her. I don't wish her pain. I just remember how close I came to losing myself, and how quiet it got once she was gone. Claire nodded slowly. "Pain changes you, but you didn't let it ruin you." I glanced back at the window, where Ellie's nightlight glowed behind the curtains. No, I couldn't. Not with her watching. Claire reached over and took my hand. Not because it was some grand moment, just because it mattered. That's when I knew. Madison was my past. Claire? She might be something else entirely. But closure, real closure, didn't come from a new relationship. It came 2 weeks later. A voicemail. Unknown number again. I should have known. Madison's voice came through, raw, worn down. "Hey, I know you probably blocked me again after the last message. That's okay. I just wanted to say, I'm moving. I got accepted into a rehab program upstate. No more pretending I'm okay. No more acting like I didn't destroy everything I ever had. Ellie doesn't owe me anything. You don't either. But thank you for protecting her from me when I wouldn't admit I needed it. I hope, someday, she'll want to know me. And if that day ever comes, I'll be better. I promise. I'm sorry, Noah, for all of it." I sat in silence for a long time after that. Not because I felt sorry for her, but because I knew that was real. It was the first time her voice wasn't soaked in lies or blame or manipulation. It was broken, honest, human. And I realized I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't need revenge, or apologies, or explanations. Because the real victory wasn't in watching her fall apart. It was in watching myself come back together. That weekend, Ellie and I drove to a nearby lake. Just us. No phones. No noise. We skipped rocks. Roasted marshmallows. She told me about some boy at school who looked at her weird and asked if she was pretty. I told her she was beautiful and strong and smart, and that anyone who didn't see all of that wasn't worth her time. She leaned against my side, head resting on my arm, and whispered, "I love you, Daddy." My throat tightened. "I love you more, baby girl." And in that moment, I realized. That's the kind of love that never leaves. That's the kind that matters. Not the chaos. Not the betrayal. Not the broken promises. But the stillness that follows when the fire finally burns itself out. I survived a war. I survived Madison. But this quiet life I'd rebuilt, brick by patient brick, was the hardest thing I'd ever fought for. And the only thing truly worth it. The end.